So Makos, that the Eidim Zomimim get Makos, and Amud Beis asked the question, the Remes Eidim Zomimim, what is it? And it comes from the Hitstu, it's a Rasha of Im Ben Hakos a Rasha. So you have Eidim that Hirshu et Tzaddik, so they say some false testimony about the Tzaddik. Another Eidim come and they Hitstiku et Tzaddik, and they say, no, these first Eidim were with us. The Mikara Vishen, and they made the Rishayim, and then Im Ben Hakos a Rasha. So we have the Psukim that you have Histu et Tzaddik, Hirshu et Rasha, Im Ben Hakos a Rasha, and it's not every Rasha. Again, this tzaddik in Rosh is tzaddik bedin. So somebody who goes, it's like in Rosh Hashanah. Somebody is a tzaddik, then he lives, someone who's a Rosh dies. It's not everyone who lives is a Rosh, everyone who lives is a tzaddik, everyone who dies is Rosh. It's tzaddik bedin. At this din are you, so if I sue you, I say you owe me $100. If I win, I'm a tzaddik in that din. The base din made his thing in that din. But it's not every time that you have a Rosh bedin that you give him makos. So that's the whole story of that you have to be rishu firstly at the tzaddik, and then these other Eidim come the hitzu etzer tzaddik, and then you hakos etzer rosh. So the tipukle milo Taneh. So that the tipukle, the Gemara says, you have a more simple way to understand. You should just get makos for lo Taneh. And again, the lo Taneh is the din of lo Taneh be'erecha echeker, it's the 10 Commandments. So for this lo Taneh, when you're giving false testimony, 8 sheker, you should get makos. That's the tipukle lo Taneh. Just get makos for lo Taneh, and we're done. The Gemara says, Mishum dahavi lav she'ein bo ma'isa v'chol lav she'ein bo ma'isa ein loikin alav. So the Gemara says, yes, taka, you're over lo Taneh, but 8 sheker every time you give 8 sheker. However, we can't give you makos for it because it's a lav she'ein bo ma'isa. So comes hitstiku esa tzaddik, hishu it's a rasha, Vim ben Hakos Arasha, Ve'kiu lifanav, and that gives you the makos. Now the question really is when this Hitzdiku Etz Tzaddik gives you makos for lo Taneh, is that all lo Taneh or only in the case of Kasher Zamam, which we will get into in far more detail. So Maiden Anu Beish Ploni Shu Ben Gerusha Ben Chalutza Ein Oimrim Chulei. So Tema says Tosis again. Tema top question. Kevan de'im huzmu, since that if they were to be mizamen, einam nasem ben gerusha v'chalutza. So if the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, you don't make them a ben gerusha uben gerusa ein oimrim, that you make the Eidim a ben gerusha ben gerusha, but rather you give makos. So Tosis says, well, if you don't make them a ben gerusha tachtav, im came bam b'shelo yuzmu, even when they don't get hazama, they just say, they come to Beit Din and they say that this woman is a gerusha. Eich na'aseh al pihem ben gerusha. How can you make the son a ben gerusha? Now here in the Aleph, he adds the words uben chalutza. So in our text we don't have it. When the Bach adds the words uben chalutza. So let's leave it for now. The hachi hua emes. So what's Tosfot doing here? V'hachi hua emes. Even when they're not. So Eidim come in. Just time Eidim come and say that you're a ben gerusha. Then you make through the Eidim, you make them a ben gerusha. The Eidim cause that the person is a ben gerusha. The hachi hua emes, meaning that the Beis Din would do this, that the Eidim come and they give the Eidus, the Beis Din makabels the Eidus, and they make this guy a ben gerusha. That's the emes, that they make him a gerusha. And we'll see later in the case in Sanhedrin that they don't do anything. The Eidim come and give Eidus and they don't do anything. The Beis Din doesn't do anything. Here, the Beis Din act on the Eidus of the Eidim and they make the guy into a ben gerusha. So Tosfot is asking, how can they do that? V'amai ha-have le'edus she'iyata yichol hazima ve'en ze'udus ve'en ze'edus. So there's a thing called edus she'iyata yichol hazima, that you have to, all edus, you have to be able to give zamamim on that edus. If you can't give zamamim on that edus, then you can't makabel the edus. So we have drishas and chakirus. There are Drishas is just asking what's going on. The Hakirus is is what time and day is it? If they don't know what time and what day it was, the 7 questions, and then all the 7 questions basically bend down to what day is it and what time is it. If they can't answer what day is it, what time is it, then we don't makabel the raiders. So if you don't say if you don't know what day or time it is, then you can never have the idea of zomimim, which is you were with us at this time and place. So if you never say what time and place it was, then no one Adam can come and say what time and place it was. So you need to have edus shetoychol hazima, and if you don't have edus shetoychol hazima, ein ze edus. So now here what Tosfot is asking is that since Adam said that you could not have given them the ben gerusha ben chalutza, you couldn't have seen that he's a ben gerusha because you were with us at that time. We don't make him a ben gerusha. Since you don't make him a ben gerusha, then what he was mizam, what he was zoimim, what he was trying to do, you don't do to him. Therefore, that's edus yetol hazima vein ze'edus. Therefore, how can we makabel the edus at all? So the basic question of Tosfot is that since you have cases of where you can't have edim zoimimim, any case you can't have edim zoimim, how can you have edus at all? Because that's edus yetol hazima. How can you makabel the edus? The hachi huwa emes, says Tosfot, that we make the guy into a ben gerusha. So therefore, but why we can't makabel his edus? So this isn't edus, says Tosfot, because it's edus yetol hazima. Now Rashi gives a reason that is just for yira. Is that why? What's the point? What I'm trying to do to you? Why does that help? Why is that called edus? Like what is the whole thing? So here again, at this point, obviously Tosfot knows you're getting makos, but makos is not what you try to give to them. So since that's not kasher zamam, so Rashi learns that it's just yira. So then l'chayra, Rashi wouldn't have the question. If you ever look at the teretz of Tosfos, yesh leimer, kaven de loikin having kasher zamam, v'havishaper tayechol hazima. So, again, according to this idea of Rashi of Yira, so since you got Kasher Zamam, it's okay, and you're okay with Yichol Hazima, because we need some type of fear to put into the Aiden that we can trust them, that if they get anything wrong, then they get punished. So therefore, this Makot is enough of a Hazama. So the way that we would learn then, according to what we were saying earlier, is that Lo Taneh is a lav she'en bo ma'isa. Comes hitzdiku, you get makos for this lav. And where is hitzdiku mar ben makos in a case of kasher zamam? So therefore, when you have a kasher zamam, it's the makos that takes the place kaviyachol of the kasher zamam, and that the Lord that there is Eida Sheker here of Lo Taneh. The tzdiku only applies in the place of Kasher Zamam. So you need a Kasher Zamam. So that Makos is an application of Kasher Zamam. So let's have a look at the Ramban. The Ramban, Ikit Kasha Ha the Amrin Perkele in the Shrof. So Treifa, this is another case. There's all other cases of Treifa Shahoreg is Potter. Yeah, because the treifa you can't kill him. The treifa, someone's going to die within a year, and he killed, and he's potter because he's going to die anyway. So therefore, you can't kill the edim because they're giving edus on someone who's already dead. So therefore, he's like dead man walking. So this is how he said: "Ta'afal gab de lo makayim behu kasher zamam, makayim behu malchus, b'mokum." The law efsher makablim sadaihu. So even though we're not makayim, so there's no kasher zamam here at all. It's not kasher zamam, but we're makayim in malchus. So it's like a b'mokum. B'mokum lo efshar makablim. So in the place where it's not possible to do kasher zamam, there we div a malchus, and therefore we're able to makabel the reidus. So therefore the Ramban is clearly saying we're not doing kasher zamam. If you look at the Pnei Yeshua in the teretz of the Gemara here, in the Pnei Yeshua, so the Mishnah says, so the Taneh is asking the question on the Gemara. in the Gemara when it says here ha ketzed ein azem nasen zomim. What does it say? Ketzed ha'edim nasa zomim. The Gemara says it should be ein edim nasa zomim. So the Taneh Yeshua says l'cheir lefiza kati loshen ha-mishnah einu medukdak. It should still say v'tefei havishayach lemitna is ketzed ein ha'edim nasa zomim. Because yesh edim she'omim machem she'ein osim behem zoma ele makos. Ele makos is still ein edim nasa zomim. They're still not getting it. Ele lokim arbayim. So what does the Gemara say? Kasher zamam v'nira bezed de'israch lemistani bahai lishna d'lashminin de'lo shaykh malkus legavei edus ele kashehu derech hazama. Right, so de'lo shaykh malkus legavei edus ele kashehu derech hazama Gemara. So therefore, when you have Eid Sheker, for sure you do not have the Makos. So the way that the Taneh Yeshua is explaining the teretz in the Gemara is that you only get Makos for Eid Sheker that has Hazama. You don't get. There's no kiyum of Lo Taneh ben Hakos or Rosh. It doesn't megala that Lo Taneh gets Makos. It's only saying in a case of Kasher Zamam it gets Makos. Again, we're going to get into this a lot more, but here Taneh Yeshua is saying that only in the case of Kasher Zamam. Lo shach malchus legavei edus ele kashu derech hazama. So this derech hazama is like imanu hayisem. So we have the imanu hayisem. Then you get makos, and that makos would be a mokum, a kiyum. How are you going to learn? It's not. See, Tosfot here says havishaper tayechul hazima. It doesn't say that it's kasher zamam. It's just shapir tayechol hazima. Kaven deloikin have kasher zamam.
He also doesn't say like explicitly like the Ramban that it's like a replacement.
Kaven deloikin have kasher zamam. I don't know how you're going to learn that. Since they get makos, it is kasher zamam, and it is tayechol hazima. Now v'kasha dim kain my kamor berachai boitkin. We have in Sanhedrin. Gave Ede Naira Marasa. He lo miklat says really should look at this case. Ede Naira Marasa. Zamar of Chanan. Ede Naira Marasa. Shezumamu. So the Edim come and say that the Naira had relations, and they were muzamim. Ein nahagrin. They not killed. Because it could say that we're going to come into Asr on her husband. And then what's this idea of, we could have said to Asr or Baila Banu. So either they do, what are they doing in Beis Din? What they could say. So really with this, so the idea of Kasher Zamam is that you can only do to them what they are planning on doing to her. So since there's like two things they're doing with their age, is trying to kill her, but also trying to usher on her Baal, because if she's had relations baratzon in the marriage, or if it's a Cohen, even shelo baratzon, then she's also to her husband. So if they zomim, if they were planning on ushering her to her husband, so therefore that's what kasher zamam means. You have to do that punishment. You don't try to kill them. So therefore, since we don't know what they were coming to do, then what is their zamim? What are they planning to do? So if they say we're just planning to also the body, therefore we can't kill them. So Gemara says vaha asru ba. They gave her warning. So since they gave her a warning, they would have to say to her, "We're going to kill you. This is an austere thing to do, and if you do this, we're going to bring you to Beis Din, and we're going to kill you, and all this type of stuff." So it's clear what they plan to do. So you can't ever have a killing of the woman without an hasra. So we know that they try to kill her. So the Gemara answered to lo asruba. They didn't give her hasra. They never told her. Wow, the ilah asruba heichi makle beisha. Sorry, how can we kill her? They didn't give her hasra. How can you kill her? Beisha chavrei ve'liba de Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda de Taneh Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda Omer chaver ein tzarech hasra lefi shelo nitna hasra ele lechavim ben shogeg lemezid. So the whole point of giving hasra is just to make sure that you're mazid. we're only going to punish you if you are, again, the Beis Din is only going to kill you, is going to do something to you if they know that you meant it, that we know that you're mazes. If you're shoygeg, you don't know what you're doing, you're forgetting, or you didn't know it was usher, so then they can't kill you. So therefore the whole din of Hasra is not for Talmid Chacham, and Talmid Chacham knows it's usher, and therefore we don't need to give them Hasra. So this is an Isha Chavera, so she knows the din, and therefore she doesn't need Hasra. So therefore the Edom just came and said that she was Mizana with somebody, Berotzon, I guess they have to say, and then you kill her, but you don't kill the Edom. The Kavan de Inhu lo Mekatle, Ihi Hechi Mekatle. And if you're not going to kill the Edom Zonimim, then how can you kill her? Havila Edus Yetei Chol Hazima, V'chol Edus L'Shin Tol Chazima, Lo Shema Edus. So this is going to be, this is like the question really that Tosis is asking. And the Hachinami Kamar. So now this is going to be clear in the din of the Gemara here. Mitoksha ein ne'argrin sheyochel loimer losher al bailabanu afhi ena nehageres. So therefore, since we can't kill them because we don't know what their zamam was, therefore we cannot kill her, and therefore we don't kill her in that sense because it's edeshiyetol hazima. So if in the case, kind of two things are happening. One, they didn't give her hasra, and if we have this whole thing, no. And again, they never said that they were trying to usher on the Baal. Since they could have said that, therefore we're not going to kill them. And secondly, since that, we don't actually kill her.
It's amigo?
It's not amigo, no. It's that Kasher Zamam is what they planned to do. Since we don't know what they planned to do, therefore we can't give them that misa. If you try to kill them, then they could say that we tried to do this. So they didn't. We don't know if they're trying to kill her or not. Since we don't know if they're trying to kill her or not, how can we do a Kasher Zamam on them? What? Because the Edom just come and say she had Ritzinus while she was married, Baratzon with this guy. And we don't know what their Zamam was. Since we don't know what their Zamam was, we can't give a Kasher Zamam. So in Sanhedrin, the Ede Naira, that we don't kill him, Kavan She'inhi Lo Mikatli, Misham She'yochol En Loim Elosra Al Ba'alaban. The Havi La Ede She'yeto L'chazima. Umay Kamar, why is that called Ede She'yeto L'chazima? The Hami Kom Laikin. They give him Makos. So therefore, why, since Makos is a kiyum of Kasher Zamam, and therefore it's Shapir, so you can do all that. So therefore, why in this case in Sanhedrin, since they get Makos, so again up here you see that the Hachi Hua Emes. In our case in Sanhedrin, she's not getting killed, but here we taka. So the Edom come and they give Edus, but we don't kill her. But here the Edom come. Yaseh al pihem ben Gerusha. We make her a ben. We make the son a ben Gerusha or ben Chalutza, depending. Dachi wa emes, meaning that they do. In our case, they don't do it. The hamikom loikin. So these Edom, Tosis is saying that these Edom get makos. Seemingly, because that makos is a kiyum of kasher zamam. So when you have, how do they get makos? Because the Edom will come and say mana hayisem, and therefore you have lo Taneh, eri sheker. It's a lav shein bo ma'aseh if you don't get makos for it. Yeah, but the hitzu gets a tzaddik is marbe in cases of kasher zamam in order to get makos. So if they're going to get makos in this case, so since they get makos, why is that not called kasher zamam? Why is that not called good enough kasher zamam? Therefore we should kill her. It's enough to kill her. So it says has some kaven shebayin lechayv misa v'zomamu lahorges a nefesh lo makayim kasher zamam b'malchus. So, again, this is that there's a kiyum of kasher zamam in the malchus. There's a kiyum. So here there's no kiyum of the kasher zamam in the malchus, but in other cases there is a kiyum of the kasher zamam in the malchus. So how is there a kiyum? It has to be. There's an execution of kasher licht in the malchus is the kasher zamam. You have to say that it is kasher zamam, and here it isn't kasher zamam. So we can't makam kasher zamam in the malchus. Because they were trying to do so now in the posuk of kasher zamam to have behedi ketiv nefesh benefesh gavei hazama edus nefesh velo. So in the posuk that discusses kasher zamam, it says nefesh benefesh ayin ba'ayin. So therefore there has to be a nefesh benefesh in the zamam. If you're zamam for a nefesh, Therefore, there has to be a kasher zamam of the nefesh. So therefore, there's no kiyum of the kasher zamam in nefesh without the other nefesh, and therefore, since they're coming to mechayvim, therefore the makos is not nefesh. Therefore, there's no kiyum kasher zamam. V'lo hashiv yachol lahazima. So since there's no makayim, since there's no lo makayim kasher zamam, therefore lo hashiv yachol lahazima. So in the makos you can makayim, in the makos you can makayim the kasher zamam, and therefore it is yachol hazima. And here there's no kiyum of the kasher zamam. Therefore it's lo hashiv yachol hazima. Aval haka, in our case in the Mishnah, shelo keven ela l'shavia ben gerusha uben chalutza. You see now here he's adding uben chalutza. Deleka ki'im lav ba'alma. Such as the lav ba'alma. Now the Rishonim, I don't really want to get into the sugi. I don't really like the Shaklavatari in it, but there's Tosh is saying here that there's a lav ba'alma. Some want to say that a ben gerusha be a Kohen who's doing avoda in the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore he's breaking Shabbos. He's not allowed to do those. A Kohen is allowed to do, let's say, shchita for the avoda in the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore it's a chiyav misa, because really a chiyav misa for breaking Shabbos. But the Rambam holds that the avoda of a halal does not it doesn't posel the avoda, and it's kosher b'di'evet. So therefore, it's not actually misa according to that shita. So there, the Pasha says it's just a lav, but it's just an example of one of the lavs that are coming out here. You have a Kohen who's doing avoda in the Beis Hamikdash, who shouldn't be doing it. So halal is doing the avoda, it would be a simple lav. Or a lav will be that the Kohen is with what if he's with, it's a lav going on the father. But here, the son, the lav on the father is that he's with a ben gerusha. But here going on the son, he thinks he's a Kohen, and then but he's actually a ben gerusha, so he's over that lav of serving in as a Kohen. So it's only lav ba'alma kevin shalaka chashiv shaper edish atayachol azima. Now I didn't really see this anywhere, but a simple way to understand this would be that since the punishment for a lav is makos, so therefore makos is a good kiyum of edish sheyachol azima. It's a good kiyum of because it's like makos for a lav. They're trying to bring a lav, and they get makos, so therefore it's a good kiyum of that. So that's really the end of the first teretz of Tosfot, which is saying, again, we're learning out that if you give Eid sheker, you're over lo Taneh, it's a lav shem by Maisa, and come to tzaddik, and it's makayim makos for a case of where of a case of where kasher zamam. So any case you have a kasher zamam, in order to makayim that, you get makos for the lo Taneh, even though it's a lav shem by Maisa. In the case of kasher zamam, then you get makos even though for the Eid sheker, even though it is a lav shem b'maisa. Now again, that's how. So the Panei Yeshua for sure is holding by the first teretz here of Tosfos. So now the second teretz of Tosfos for Od Yesh Leimer. The Gave Eidus the Ben Gerusha v'Chalutza lo chashinin klal ba'emes ba'ata yichol hazima. The second teretz here is saying I don't care about atol hazima. The mehechen afkalan the bein Eidus atay yichol hazima. So this whole kiyum hol shas you need Eidus atol hazima mikasher zamam. We know you need it from kasher zamam. So you do to the Edom like they plan to do. Therefore, any Edus which you can't do to them, they plan to do, is not Edus. V'ha muchach b'gemara to kasher zamam lo nechtav l'gabe Edus to ben gerusha. Again, adding in here ben chalutza. So why is this kasher zamam not written? Because you can't do kasher zamam lo v'lo leishto. All the drashas to why you can't actually make him a ben gerusha shows that the ben gerusha is not in the parsha kasher zamam. It's not in kasher zamam because it's not here. So, for example, the Amar Kro v'asita lo kasher zamam lo v'lo lezaro. So therefore, that doesn't fit the pasuk. So you see that this case, the ben gerusha is yotze from the pasuk of kasher zamam. We see some law kasher zamam, but ben gerusha doesn't fit the pasuk because law v'lo l'zaro in the other cases as well. Being kasher zamam lasot v'leika, so it doesn't fit the pasuk. So since ben gerusha ben kos is coming out of kasher zamam, therefore it comes out of the whole parsha of kasher zamam. Since it comes out of parsha of kasher zamam, I don't need eda she'atol lahazima. V'ha muchach b'gemara the kasher zamam lo nechtevet gabe edas ben gerusha ben kos v'lo lucky klal aleya. They're not marcus on it b'shom tzad sheba'olam. Sorry, v'lo kai aleya. V'shom tzad b'olam. So v'shom tzad b'olam, he said there's no way b'chlal here that the makos is coming from kasher zamam. Therefore, in the second teretz, he's learning the sugya completely differently. We're learning that lav she'en bo mais. Sorry, lo Taneh you get makos for. It's a lav she'en bo mais. It comes to stick with tzaddik to be megale that all cases of Eida Sheker you get lo Taneh. You get makos. Eida Sheker, you get makos. Lo Taneh is a lav she'en bo maisa. Yeah, because it's still gets a tzaddik. It's coming to be megala that you get makos for this lav she'en bo maisa. And that's something to do with kasher zamam. The first teretz is only like kasher zamam. The second teretz, I don't care about kasher zamam. Eida Sheker, you get makos. So therefore here, it's Eida she'ita yichol hazima. Yeah, I don't care because it's on the parsha kasher zamam. So when it's on the parsha kasher zamam, I don't need kasher Eida she'ito yichol hazima. What about the case of Naim Marosa? Why don't we kill her? We should kill her. I don't need Eida she'ito chazima there. I don't need Eida she'ito chazima. I kill her. Vatai kasher zamam kai nami aleihim. For sure, don't be silly. Because sure, kasher zamam. Now I'm talking about two separate things here. I'm now mechadashing and Tosis. Tosis is now saying that all Eida Sheker you get makos for. All Eida Sheker you get makos for. Nothing to do with kasher zamam. You say Eida Sheker you get makos. Again, because the drasha of his dikku etz tzaddik is going on. It's not going on kasher zamam. It's going on all this lo Taneh and the typically take it out. No, I can't take it out there. I need this to be megala in a lo Taneh that you get makos because it's a lav she'en bo maisa. Now the din of kasher zamam, Tosis is saying sometimes you need kasher zamam Eida she'ito chazima, sometimes you don't. So Naim Rosa Vadai you need Eida she'ito chazima. De'im hosru ba. Again, in our case, they didn't give her hasra. But if they did give her hasra, mekilte inhu, you kill the Eidim, b'she hozmu. If the Eidim got hazama, for sure you would kill the Eidim. Ve'ilu ihu below huzmu. And her, you would kill her if they don't get hazama. So therefore, this whole case is some case. It fits fine with kasher zamam. It's in kasher zamam. It's not like our place of Ben Gerusha. You see, the whole thing of Ben Gerusha, we don't do what they tried to do to the Ben Gerusha. We don't do that to these Eidim. Therefore, they're not in kasher zamam. But here, if a normal case, they give her hasra, Eidim come, they kill her, and if they find out to be Eidim zomim, you kill them. So therefore, this is a case of kasher zamam, and you need kasher zamam, and it's not coming out of the pasuk. It's in the pasuk. So therefore, I need it. Now here, this is really taken out because it seems to be superfluous. V'hatamari below husru. It's like explaining the case we had before. The kaven de kasher zamam kai eleu. So there. I think the Marshal is going to takes it out. This test just takes it out, but doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Lekach be'inyan atayachol hazima. And therefore, for our case, we need atayachol hazima over there. Now, further on in this Tosis, he takes a bit of a detour and asks a separate question. So we said it's a Ben Gerusha. So Ish Ploni, why is he a mamzer? Dezeh havi shayach ben Yisrael ben Kohanim ben Gerusha. Lo pasal ele Kohanim. So the ben Gerusha is only Kohanim din, but the din of a mamzer is shayach for everybody. Yishliyasif denaked mishum dekai zomime bat Kohen kedita begemora lechay naked midi shayach bekahuna. So that this whole din that in the previous Mishnah in Sanhedrin, depending on how you end again, the ending of our the Mishnah in the Gemara is chelek, but the Mishnah in the Mishnah is they flip it between the Mishnah and the Mishnayos is Sreifus Kohen. So the end Mishnah It's talking about service of Kohen, so they keep it with the kahuna theme. But we have to see why is he asking this question now? Could he have asked it earlier? And this idea here of what, so now Tosfos is saying again that all Eidei Sheker you get lo Taneh, and you don't need kasher zamam in some cases. So going back into the Ramban, which teretz is the Ramban going in? V'amai v'ha amrin haka. Da'afal the lo makayim behu kasher zamam makayim behu malchus. Is this Ramban going like the first teretz or the second teretz?
Like the second teretz.
He's going like the second teretz.
Yeah. So
because we're not doing kasher zamam. And then the Pnei Yeshua, obviously you can't Pnei Yeshua as an achron, but again he has the first teretz Tosfos. But Shaykh Makot is ela kashehu derech hazama. So for that the Makos is derech hazama, whereas for the Ramban it's not kasher lo makayim. We're still getting maksim, even though we're not doing kasher zamam.
Can you just sum up? Sorry, the second teretz again. So the first
Lo Taneh is a lav sheim b'maisa. So Eida Sheker you don't get makos for. Comes Hitzdiku it's a tzaddik and is marbe malchus. The first way to learn is that the makos is b'marbe in a case of kasher zamam. That's the first teretz of Tosfos. Where is Hitzdiku marbe makos? In a case of kasher zamam. So you can't makayim kasher zamam. You makayim it with makos, and that comes through the limud. Or you say no, that the Hitzdiku is marbe all Eida Sheker. So we'll go through now some nafkaminas between the first couple of terut, the first two terutzim. Now there's a din in the Gemara of zomim. How do you mizamim the aid? If you mizamim one of the aidim without the other aid, then it's not called. You don't have the din of a zama, and you need to be mizamim both aidim in order to have a din of zama. So if the aidim are trying to kill somebody, and you say the aid A was with me, you don't kill them because you need both of them to be mizamim in order to get the din of hazama. So therefore, to get makos, according to the first teretz, you need them both to be mizamim in order to get makos. But according to the second teretz, you don't need them both to be. Even if one is mizamim, you can give him makos because he gave a checker. Again, his punishment. According to everybody, his punishment is a checker. Mm-hmm. He gave it a sheker. It's just, are you going to punish him? Are you going to give him makos or not? So I need kasher zamam. It's a kasher zamam din in the first teretz, and therefore I need them both to be mizamim. But the second teretz it's not nothing to do with kasher zamam. It's on the parsha of kasher zamam b'klal. So for any time I don't do kasher zamam, because the Torah said it's not kasher zamam, and therefore I give the makos just for Eida Sheker. If I'm giving makos for Eida Sheker, I can just give it to one. I don't need both. Now here's a case like does all Eidos need drishus and hakiros? So let's go to the second teretz of Tosfos. Go to the second teretz of Tosfos. The pashtus is that you don't need drishus and hakiros in the second teretz. Now this actually comes up in the Noida Yehuda. The Noida Yehuda, right? He brings the Reish Masechet Tosfos, right? And he brings the first teretz, and he says v'tirtzu b'doichik. The first teretz of Tosfos is a doichik. Right, and the Noida Yehuda holds strongly that he just took out the first teretz, and we're posking like the second teretz, and he's going to bring a riot. The Achar Kach, then he gives the second teretz. In the Zev Vada de Edom al Ben Gerusha Tzrichin Drishis v'Chakiros. The Rei Kola Eda Shabbatayr Tzrichin Drishis v'Chakiros Mitam HaKosuf v'Derashta v'Chakarta Mikomokom. Im Yesh Loimer lo be'inin kaven to kasher zamam lo kai aleh. Since kasher zamam doesn't refer to it, va'az hakir zodikas shavim, since they're both deraisa. So you don't. If you say I don't know to a bedika, and you say, what color shirt was he wearing? You say, I don't know. We don't throw out your edus. It may lead the Beis Din to say this guy's lying, and the Beis Din doesn't hold it, but we don't chuck out the edus because he says I don't know. Umechata v'echanavka v'drishas v'hakter said v'hine emes nachun mi posuk hazeh yafin hakirs b'dikus b'shnayim hadin shava te'im machashin zeh zeh if they kichesh if this is stira, it's edus b'tela. So if I say he's wearing a red shirt and you say he's wearing a white shirt, so it's kichesh and you check it out. U'be'eni yodeya edus and kayemis, but if you say I don't know, your edus is kayem. You say you don't know. What color the shirt was, it's still Kayim. However, if you say, I don't know what day it's on, or I don't know what hour it's on, then it's not Makayim. However, coming with here in where you don't need Kasher Zamam, now, says the Nodi Yehuda, that the Drishach Hakiros, if you say, I don't know, then it's still... So if Imkain, Kaven, the Kasher Zamam, Lokai, Al Zeh Klal, that's the lesson of Tosfot, Nishar Teretz of Tosfot, the Lo Be'inin Klal, Eidu She'atayechula, you don't need that at all. Kmo ba'edi ben gerusha ve'imkain gam kan akirs abrigas shavim. The hadayin sarech lachakor levdok. You still need to ask him the question. V'minsa b'davreihem chikasha edison betela ube'eni yodeya ben akus ben bedikus edison kayemes. The big chiddush here of the Nodeh Yehuda, according to Tosfos, the second teretz, which he says is the ikr teretz. Then ben b'chikiros ben bedikus edison kayemes. So if you say I don't know. With one of these dinim, so therefore it's good. Now, an example.
What type of question it is, right?
Wait. So if you say so an example of one of these Adam would be Adis of the moon. Another example would be a day kedushin. Now I don't know what the hazama would be. If you say A gave kedushin to B, and there's hazama on those. So we give them, you give them Makos, or it's not Eidos, you don't do Hazama on them. I saw someone say that you don't usher the Eidim to their wives, which that's not what they're trying to do. So I don't know what the Hazama would be. What the Hazama would be, I tried to get A married to B, therefore I have to marry B. So if you want to, I don't know what exactly the hazama would be. You don't do hazama, you give a makos. So for A day kedushin, you say, A gave B kedushin. Now, since you don't do hazama on them, if you say to them, where was the kedushin? I'm like, I don't remember. What day was it? I don't remember. Can you makayim that A day kedushin? Says the Nodeh Yehuda, yes.
So
right,
is
but
that
then, hold on.
So here's the base of Levi. The base of Levi here, starts off with Nodeh Yehuda, and he starts attacking the Nodeh Yehuda. So now we're saying the Nodeh Yehuda is saying in Tosfos, you don't need Drishas and Chakiras. And basically he argues on that point. He just splits it into two. He agrees, I don't need Kasher Zaman, but I still need Drishas v'Chakiras. And he says, Hu din chadash lo huskar b'rishonim v'achronim. That's what a chiddush is, You can't see it anywhere. He goes in and he says it's not. He doesn't like that. So he holds that there's no kasher zaman, but you need drishas v'chakiros, even in the second teretz of Tosfos there in the base Levi. And again, it's quite a long one. Feel free to go peruse it at your leisure. Yeah. So if you have Ezer Makos for
The base of Levi?
So if you have Ezer Chodesh, Ezer Makos. You have Eida Sheker, but there's no Imano Hayisam. So there you can learn that then for the first you wouldn't get Makos, the second you would. Do the Eidim Zomim need Hasra?
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Like warn them that they are going to be Eidim Zomim.
That if they're going to give the Losana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Meiri says that the Eidim Zomim don't need Hasra. Because the Makos is not on Lotan and not on Losana, so they don't need a straw. But then if they're going to the second terrace, then it is on Losana, so therefore maybe you do need a straw. Right. And we have this case here, the Ritva, Vahata Katani ben Chalutza. He says, what is a ben Chalutza? It's Shagris Loshin de ben Gerusha Nakta. He says, because ben Gerusha is a din deraisa. The apostle ben Chalutza eino min Torah. So meaning that a Kohen is allowed to marry a Chalutza. Chalutza never got married. Never had it. You can have a Basula that's a Chalutza. but the Rabbanan were osering chalutzas to kohanim. So therefore, a kohen deraisa is allowed to have a ben chalutza. So
well, not all chalutzas are basulas, right? Some could be.
Right. But the din of being the chalutza doesn't possibly from a kohen deraisa. So a apostle ben chalutza to a kohen is not a deraisa din, and it's a midrabanan din. Now there's a machlokas in this because so what? You still try to do it to him, and there's still a kasher zamam. But he's holding that it's not a din rabban. Now, can you get makos? So therefore, if you get makos for a derabanan, like a chalutza, so in the first teretz, there's no kasher zamam deraisa. According to the Ritva, others hold that taka it doesn't matter, it's rabbanim. According to the Ritva, you don't get makos for a ben chalutza. That's this whole question here. Right, that we only say ben chalutza because it comes together with the gerusha. So since according to the first teretz you don't get kasher zamam makos for a chalutza because it's a derabanan, but you can get it in the second teretz because edi sheker deraisa. Back in the Tosfot here, you can learn this two ways. That Tosfot left out ben chalutza because hachi hua emes is only going on ben gerusha. You only make him a ben gerusha. You don't make him a ben chalutza. Or according to the Bach, no, you also make him a ben gerusha, a ben chalutza because it's a hachi hua emes. You can learn that in Tosfot. You can learn no, he just left it out and ben gerusha, ben chalutza. It's the same. But Meduyak in the Tosfot here without the Bach l'chayra only a ben gerusha hachi hua emes. But he does say he does bring in ben chalutza beferush and then leaves it out later on. You can go through that and see if so it's in the Rabbi Shmuel. V'asugi de Bava Kama the Edom Chusho benefesh loikin muchach nami the lo tali begerer hazama klal. So this is therefore we have that the makos is nothing to do with hazama, and it's a raya that the Rabbi Shmuel brings like the second teretz of Tosfos. Right, so what do you do? So Edim Chechikusha Benefesh get Makos. Okay, Rabbi Elazar says Edim that there are Kichesh. Benefesh Loikin. So the classic case of Kichesh is I say that Reuben killed Shimon, and you say Reuben didn't kill Shimon. Because it's nothing to do with Edim Zomamim. Right, so Edim Shekichesh Benefesh get Makos. Right, so the Gemara here is talking about specific. How do you know it's Rabbi Elazar? Ela Shmamim Rabbi Elazar Hudamar in Oregon's time. Okay, so then they get makos. So the Gemara says they get makos. Why are the Edom getting makos? Trei v'trei ninhu. It's two Edom say that Reuven killed Shimon. True v'trei, so you don't get makos for that. It's trei v'trei ninhu. My chazis to samchas sahani. So again, this is the big question for how can you give makos based on the Edom? It's just two Edom versus two Edom. Believe these Edom. Why are you believing these Edom over those Edom? Maybe believe those Edom over those Edom. Amar Abaye baba hoyreg baraglov. That the hoyreg, the guy who was killed, came on his feet. So Edom say Reuven killed Shimon, and Shimon comes into Beis Din. So now Shimon. So now that's Edom shechikishu. How are they kichesh? The kichesh because Shimon comes into Beis Din, they get makos. Edom shekishu benefesh loikin, they get makos. So again, it's shekishu benefesh. So here we have a case of where Edom are, they say Reuven killed Shimon. Now Shimon turns up. According to the first teretz Tosfos, do you get makos?
So they tried to do it in.
No, because there's no kasher. They do a kasher zamam. Yeah. This is just Eida Sheker.
Right, because he's
According to the second teretz Tosfos, do you get makos?
Yes.
So here's a Gemara Mefureshes. Edom shechikusha benefesh loikin. And the Nodi Biyehuda brings us the right, the second teretz. So that now after the Giloi in makos, now Eida Sheker gets makos. And here you have it in Sanhedrin. And now, the Pnei Yeshua is going to have a teretz for this. The Pnei Yeshua holds with the first teretz of Tosfot. And Chayre, he has one. But as of now, it's just a kasha. The Edom come in and say, Reuven killed Shimon. They're trying to kill Reuven. There was no hazama. There was no hazama. Otherwise, so we're not trying to kill them because there's no hazama. Hazama needs imano hayisem. So now they have chachasha. They get makas. How do they get makas? It's lav shem b'maisa. Aye, but there's a giloi. If it's tekas, it's a Russia. And there's a Gemara Mefurish, like the second teretz of Tosfos. Yeah, so at the end of Tosfos, we were asking, like, what was he sticking in there? Yesh l'dakdak amai lo nakes. So why didn't he say mamzer? So he says here, see, it's good for the first teretz. I don't have this question in the first teretz. Ein lahakshos midi. I'm not asking about the mamzer at all. The yesh lomer de lo naked mamzer lefi shehen mechayve krisus. So since it's a chayv krisus, and therefore ein edus and mekayemis the mikri edus shelo yichol levo lidei hazama. So therefore it's not a good edus because it doesn't come to hazama. The bahashim b'chayve malkus lo chashiv keneged ma shehidu be'avera de chayv krisus. So here, in the first teretz, we're saying that it's a lav, and therefore you get makos. So the ben garush is a lav, and therefore the makos is a good kiyum of the kasher zamam. Therefore, I can't bring a din of mamzer because the mamzer is chayv krisus, and therefore makos is not a good din of kasher zamam. Therefore, according to the first teretz, I can't bring in the Mishnah mamzer because the makos is no good. Ben gerusha ben chalutza deleka elelav ba'alma kedelayal. Therefore, the makas is a kiyum. Aval teretz sheni shemitaretz the me'acher to pasuk asher zamam lo kaya edus ben gerusha lo beinin edus etayachol azima. So kasha, you should have just gone on just do mamzer, and therefore we've waited. Therefore, we've added mamzer also there lo kaya pasuk to kasher zamam. Also mamzer also because you don't make him a mamzer. So therefore. The mamzer is shaykh on the second teretz, not the first teretz, and therefore according to the first teretz, we have no issue with the Gemara, with the Mishnah. Now after we have the second teretz, now we have an issue with the Mishnah, and therefore that's why Tosfos is asking the question now. Okay, so the second Tosfos. מעידין anavish ploni shehu chayav gala. So this is the end of the Mishnah. We say ben grush ben chalutza, and the Mishnah says. Made an honor beish ploni shu chayav galus. You don't say to them that they get galus. They get makos rather than sending them to galus. So ve'im teme heichem yicholim lechayav galus. So how can these edim? Obviously, if the edim are not mizamen, then this guy goes to galus, and then if they are mizamen, then we give him makos instead of galus. How with their edus? When they say, they come into Beis Din, when they say this guy's chayav galus. I don't know what they're saying. V'ha yochol loymor mezid hayisi. So the guy who killed him is able to say mezid hayisi. So if he kills him b'shoigeg, so he goes to galus. If he kills him b'mezid, he doesn't go to galus. So a galus is like a kapara. So if you're mezid, you don't get the kapara. So you don't go to galus. So if he says mezid hayiti, he doesn't go to galus. Now, Tosfos isn't saying he says Mezid Hayiti. He says he could say Mezid Hayiti. Therefore, the Beis Din have the Edom say that he killed B'shoigeg, or whatever the hell the Edom are saying. And now the Beis Din are thinking, what are we going to do with this guy? They can't send him to galus because he could say Mezid Hayiti. Kadamar Gabe Yechidas Chele Perakama de Bava Metzia. Now, what happens in Bava Metzia is that two Edom come and say, you ate Chelev. And now he's chayv achatos. Someone who eats chaylev is chayv achatos. It's if you eat chaylev b'mezid, then it's kares b'shoigeg. It's achatos. So two Edom say the guy ate chaylev, so he's chayv achatos. The guy turns around. The nidon turns around. And he says, "Yes, I ate chaylev. However, I ate it b'mezid." So if he ate it b'mezid, so then he doesn't get the chatos. So the Edom are coming to mechayv mechatas, and they can't mechayv mechatas because he could say mezid hayiti. So Tosfos is comparing that to this case, saying just so too here the Edom are trying to mechayv him galus, but it's kind of the flip. If he's shoygeg, he gets galus. If he's shoygeg, he brings the chatas. If he's mezid, he doesn't bring the chatas. If he's mezid, he doesn't get galus. So the Marsha asked the question. the kasha, the devrehim, according to Tosfot. Umay kushia, what exactly is Tosfot? How can Tosfot say they can say mezari? They can't say mezari. Taha, ena yacholoimer mezari. Why not? The ein adam mesim asma rasha, because a man can't make himself a rasha. Klamar b'kerek perakama d'Sanhedrin gabe ploni ravenu l'ritzoni. So what happens here? Ploni, he had Ravoni that he had his merry way with me, like they do in Los Angeles. The Ritzoni according to my will. So having this, so he's saying that the guy, I agreed with him, I wanted it to happen, and it was Pride Week, and I was very happy about it. So the guy did the male act, and I enjoyed, and I wanted it. So there, he can't. How can he want to do it if it was rape? So then he didn't necessarily do an avera, but here he says he did it according to my will, and therefore there we say we don't believe you because in Mesa Masma Rosh you come and say that I wanted to do the male act. We don't believe you because that's a Rasha. So we don't believe you. Mesa Masma Rosh. So therefore we have this overriding klal of Ein Adam Mesa Masma Rasha. And therefore you can't come and say Mezar Isi. What about Chelev? Vahatim Gabe Yechalti Chelev. Over this everybody says Eid Chelev. Ta'amrin Yecholam or Mezar Haisi. Either there you can't say Mezar Haisi. So you're making yourself a Rasha. How can we believe you? Kavar Tirtu Tosfos. The Tosfos himself gives a teretz over there. Prepare comment to Metzia. Prepare Perach Amru Lo. The pshat is they say to him, De'ena Mesa Matzma Rasha. He's not making himself a Rasha. So over there by Chelev he's not making himself a Rasha. That since he's doing teshuva, so the Adam are coming saying you're chai v'chatus. If he ate it b'mezid, he's not chai v'chatus, and therefore now I'm such a tzaddik now. I'm telling you, I ate it then b'mezid because I'm such a tzaddik. I don't want to bring chulin b'azara, and these Adam are trying to machayiv me chulin b'azara, and everyone says, "Wow, you're such a tzaddik. We believe you." Aval haka gabe galas yev shar loimer kain. So here, there's no way to say that there's no you're not being tzaddik by saying mezayiti, and therefore it's and therefore you're not believed. So Marsha leaves it. There's a kasha there in Tosfos. It says so the whole kasha Tosfos kasha. How could you say mezayisi? The Marsha Choksai says no, you can't because ein adam meisamatz marasha. So this is Tosfos whole kash. And the Marsha says you can't say mezayisi because you're a Rasha, and we don't believe you. So Tosfos answers. So again, the aid. We'll come back to the Marsha, but Tosfos here with his own kasha mezayisi. He could just say this. So he says yesh nama demari kishoro bo raglaim nedavar. So that the Adim saw something that creates that there is no that regarding whatever you can't say mezarisi. Shenishma da barza mi katos that he's chopping with his axe and the axe comes off the handle. So it's difficult to be mazid that if you're coming down to chop a tree and then it flies off and hits him, and it's very difficult to do b'mezid. So that's ruglaim ledover. It really looks like it's a shoygeg. So therefore, the pastor says he had no kavanah to kill him, and therefore it's difficult. He can't say mezarisi to do this ridiculous stunt of the barzel flying off the handle of al kasha. On this pshat, that's someone who hates. So A hates B, and therefore A doesn't get galus because we presume he was mazid. Lav ki hagavna dumi de oihev. So the Gemara asks that the case that the oihev gets galus will be the same case that the soine gets galus. So goyle amai that the oihev gets galus, but amai ain't a goyle kaven deroi to have your gleim ledover. So the oihev doesn't get galus because there's reglaim ledover. Therefore, by the soine also there's reglaim ledover, just like in our case, which is why he can't say mezari easy. Therefore, why does the soine what is the soine should get galas as well? Because it's a case of it looks like it's shoygeg reclaim ledover. So his teretz here is shiny soine. So the soine doesn't get this benefit of the doubt. Deish lana loimer tefei de besoine hako. So we have two things. We have A hates B, and some crazy accident happens to A that ends up killing B. So we either look and say, oh, it's a crazy accident, it must be shoygeg. That reglaim ledover will make me say that it's an accident, or we say that A hates B, therefore it wasn't an accident. So we're noted in the first set of Taisus, we're noted that the Soina overrides the Reglaim the Dalvar, and therefore we say no, it was actually b'mezid. And if you watch enough Hollywood movies, you'll see how these hitmen make everything look like an accident. And that was the whole point of the Bourne movie, was that he was not meant to kill the guy, he's meant to kill the guy but make it look like an accident. So when we see the guy hates him, we say, it wasn't an accident, and therefore he doesn't get galus because it was mazed. So Oed Yeh Shloimer, it's quite the second terrace, the Mairi Shapir to Lake Reglaim Dover. So there he chucks out what he said before, and by the Soina and the Oihev, there's a difference. The Hashtanicha Misoina. So now I know that since there's no Reglaim Dover, Bechlal, so therefore so it makes sense why the Soina doesn't get galus. Because we say it wasn't an accident. There was no reason to think it was an accident. We say, he hates him, that's why he's dead. Why is the Oihev Goyle then? The Oihev Goyle could go on. So now, why does the Oihev get galus? Okay? Now, what is his question? This is basically going back to the beginning of Tosfot, saying, the Adam come and say, how can Adam mechayiv someone galus? So the Adam come and say, A killed B. B'shoigeg or whatever, but there's no reglaim adover. But whatever A killed B, whatever the Adam are saying, and we're going to give him Isaac. So we'll say, Mistama didn't try to kill him. It was just it was an accident. Kagon. So what's the case? Kagon shesasik. So at this point, once we presume that it was an oines, but he could have just said mezalei teach, like the Gemara, that's like the question of Tosfos. Kagon shesasik k'shamar lo ha'edim. So that the witness was silent. When they said, you killed B, he didn't say anything. But Vada, you have a Yamar Lo Haraktiv. Sure, if he said, I never killed him, Yachol Tarit Yamar Lo Haraktiv Shoigeg, Elab he could have said, I didn't kill him Shoigeg, but I killed him Amazid. Kamo Belo Achalti Chelev. Just like the case in the Chelev, Kevin Shetzasik Kahoididami. So since he was silent, silent it will give him galus, he can't mentarit anything. So if he said I didn't kill anybody, so therefore he doesn't go to galus. But since he was silent, here silent is worse than saying something else, and therefore he goes to galus for it because that shasik it's like he's moida, and therefore now he can't be chayzer at a later point and said I killed b'mezid, and therefore we get the teretz of the first Tosfos of the whole question of Tosfos that he can't say mezid ha'isi. Okay, so getting back into the idea of the Marshal's kasha on Tosfos. What is this point? So this is the Kuvas Ha'oros, which is again Rav Chanan. I think it's only on Yavamas. Adam Korev Etzalatzmo, ve'ein Adam Meishim Atzmo Rasha. So it says there in the Gemara that a man is korev to himself and he can't make himself a Rasha. So there's two basic ways of understanding why is somebody not allowed to he's not believed to make himself a Rasha. So one is that he's korov al etzelatzmo. So mashma de ilav taima de korov hayanemon. So in this way, so therefore just he's a korov. So it's just like you're not believed if you give edus against your relative, your korov. If you go and say that your father's a Rasha or your mother's a Rasha, you're not believed because you're a korov. Because a korov is not believed. So too, when you say yourself you're a Rasha, you're not believed. So that's the first pshat, which is really how Rashi learns it. Rashi brings this lashon of Adam Korov Atzol Atzmo, usually when the sugi is brought up. Again, the sugi is not in our Gemara. Tosfos is bringing it up. The Adam, and the second case is that Adam makes him as a Rasha. That if he makes himself a Rasha, then we don't believe him because he's a Rasha. Maybe he's a Choshe Sheker. So you come and say, yeah, I'm a Rasha. Believe me, I'm a Rasha. I can't believe you're a Rasha because Rasha is a liar. So we believe you're a Rasha, therefore we don't believe you. So it makes him as a Rasha, which is also brought down in Tosfos. So the Kasha Halal the Rav Rasha, who according to him is Rasha poisel la'edus. So he's the second side. He said because according to himself he's a Rasha, and a Rasha is poisel la'edus. Gam b'yesh acharimo, even if he's the second half of a 2 edus team. So the first idea, Masha di lav time of the korov hayanemon. So if he's not a korov, he'd be next. So therefore korov is the apostle, but also the Rasha is the apostle. So yesh nafamina is the karov imamar shekavar chazer b'teshuva. So he's a karov, but he was chazer b'teshuva. So therefore, he's not Ne'eman because he's a karov, but because of the teshuva, he is believed that he's a rasha. So the second so the rasha is going like Tosfos, and the teshuva is going like Rashi. Now, can
you say that last part one more time? So we're saying, in regards to a chozer with teshuva, right? How does that deal with the issue of being a karov?
No, being a rasha. No. It deals with being a rasha.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if the tam is because you're a karov, so therefore teshuva won't help if you're a karov.
Correct.
But if the tam we don't believe you because a rasha lies, therefore teshuva will.
I thought we were saying that we didn't believe. I thought we were disregarding the fact that.
Yeah. So it's been said there's two ways to learn. So the Rashi way to learn is because you're a karov, and the Tosfos way to learn is because you're a rasha. So now in the Tosfos, so here. Ha yochol loimer mezid hayisi. So Tosfos says he is able to say mezid hayisi.
I see.
So the next paragraph, I'll upon him avoid the time and to ain out of Mesa Mashon Rasha having mishum to have the hukarov. Vim kain ze lo shaykh ele hecha shetzarichen l'toris edus. So that's only where we need you when the in the Toris where you're coming to give edus. So you come to Beis Din and you're trying to lay down edus in Beis Din, and therefore, if you're a karov, then your edus is possible because the karov is a din in edus. The bezeh karov possible of abamokim deleka possible karuva shapir meishim asma rasha. So, for example, again edus on the moon, you can be a karov to give edus on the moon. So where the edus where the karov possible doesn't play in, so therefore you don't have this issue of you can make yourself a rasha. Mishum hachi ne'eman loimer mezid hayisi liftor atzma mikorban. That's why saying that you can say mezid to be potter from a korban. Delo shaykh leposlo mishum korov bezeh. Because the fact that he's a korov doesn't make a difference. Da adam ne'eman al atzmo le'inyan korban. Because a man is believed on himself for a korban ve'ein tzarich l'toras edus. So since you're believed, I don't need edus about it. So again, edus is two people in front of Beis Din, and they need to create a chalas of din. That's what the edus is doing. But here, since you're believed on yourself, you don't need edus. Since you don't need edus, therefore, when you come, you're not giving edus that you're mezid because you don't need edus. V'kein kasel kan b'toisva. So they're here in Bava in Yevamis, Tosfos is saying that you can give as long as you're not b'toras edus. So then it's all to do with korov, and therefore as long as you're not toras, but it's just a baldin. If you're a baldin and you're just saying things in Beis Din, so therefore we can believe you because that's not the edus. So you're just saying what's the story, what's going on here. That's not the edus. You're filling things in. So you're saying there when you say it was mezid hayisi, you're not giving edus on the matter. You're just being the baldin. Therefore mishum korov. Therefore, you're not posel, and you can give that, and you can give the you're believed to say mezid hayisi here, because the posel of korov doesn't carry over because you're not giving edus. You're the baldin. You're just giving testimony. That's not edus. It needs a chalas on it again because you're believed on yourself. You don't need. You're Indian korban ain't tzarich l'toras edus. You're believed by yourself. You don't need toras edus. Therefore, when you give, it's not toras edus. Therefore, you don't have the pasul of korov, which is a side pasul in edus. You're not giving edus, and that's Tosfos in Yevamis. According to being a korov, according to that side of the hekira, so therefore there Tosfos is asking a good question. Haval b'reish bava metzia kasu b'Tosfos hatam deneman b'zeh. Why you believed in the den of the chalev. Mishum de balas os teshuva. Ve'eno meishim asma rasha. So here the Tosfos in Bava Metzia is it coming to do teshuva. And this is what the Marsha is Tosfos on. This teretz here. And since you're in teshuva, you're not making yourself a rasha. Now you're making yourself a tzaddik. You're saying I'm such a tzaddik. I was mezid there, and I don't want to bring cholim b'azara. So again, the two ways of learning, and usually it's Rashi that takes the korov, but here he's saying that Tosfos here in Yevamis goes like the Rashi sheet of korov, And then you have a Tosfos, so we have a Maklokas Tosfos, and then Bava Metzia Tosfos is saying that it's because he's a Rosh, and there he's now a Tzaddik, therefore we believe him. Avali Lav Hai Taima Eino Ne'eman. So therefore we have Tosfos is actually Maklokas on himself. So therefore the Marsha here is taking this question according to Tosfos and Bava Metzia. So according to Tosfos and Bava Metzia, Tosfos doesn't make any sense. However, if this Tosfos is l'chayra going like the Tosfos in Yevamos and going like Shittas Rashi, and it's quite on the Tosfos in Bava Metzia. Again, here you have Tosfos in Nezikin. There you have Bava Metzia as the Tosfos in. It's in Nezikin, so it's he should be going like the Tosfos in Bava Metzia, because usually you'll have Tosfos in different seders can be arguing. So the fact that Yevamos is arguing on Bava Metzia isn't such a big deal, because that's Nashim versus Nezikin. But here Sanhedrin and Makot is in Nezikin, therefore should be the same Tosfos as Bava Metzia. So therefore, according to the Marsha, therefore the Marsha fits in that. It says Tosfos isn't arguing on Tosfos isn't arguing on the Tosfos in Bava Metzia. But l'chayra, I mean, he is, because Marsha just leaves it as a question here, l'chayra, and he says, like, what's his kasha l'lerehim? Why can't he make himself he says he can't make himself a Rasha. So, but according to Tosfos in Yevamos, he can. So l'chayra, you have to say some type of maklokus between Tosfos in Mesechtas.